Droids don't talk back, they don't question orders, and they don't complain when you send them on suicide missions. So spoke Rune Harko, Newt Gunray's top lieutenant, highlighting what he and most of the other separatist leaders saw as the biggest asset of their battle droid army. Their droid soldiers were unthinking, unfeeling cannon fodder, willing to do whatever their superiors commanded. But anyone who's watched Star Wars: The Clone Wars could tell you that that isn't true. The Clone Wars made clear that the CIS's battle droids were sentient and self-aware like all droids, and that they could feel fear, pain, and everything else an organic soldier could. Indeed, the Clone Wars' droids were almost unsettlingly human, which makes the way they were treated all the more despicable. In this video, we'll be taking a look at 7 droid deaths that put the true humanity of the B1s on display.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
Did you ever hear the tragedy of Droid Commander 224? I thought not. It's not a story Master Yoda would tell you. But if you've watched the Clone Wars, you surely remember this poor droid's death.
He's gone under the tank! Oh no! Run for it! But I just got promoted!
224 was a mood throughout this entire episode. He had to deal with asinine subordinates, a coral jungle that made maneuvering his tanks a nightmare, and worst of all, he had to deal with Yoda. As if it wasn't bad enough that his army couldn't kill 4 dudes, one of them just so happened to be a ketamine-addicted gremlin with a laser sword. The poor droid didn't sign up for this, and getting chopped to pieces and yeeted into the sky is a pretty awful way to go. His dying protest makes the whole thing even more tragic. Can you imagine this sort of scene being played for laughs with an organic commander? 224 is clearly every bit as sentient. It's simple humanocentrism that makes this scene a comedic bit. That applies to most of these droid deaths, honestly. But at least 224 died on the battlefield in a more or less normal circumstance. These poor droids just got raw-dogged by fate.
What was that? What? That noise? Didn't you hear it? It sounded like a ship docking at one of the emergency airlocks. Your circuits are loose. No one's crazy enough to do that.
Anakin, you're crazy. Spinning is not flying.
But it's a good trek.
We do not want to be spotted.
Ah, I knew it! It's them! Oh no.
You think the Malevolence would be a relatively safe posting for a battle droid. After all, you're not likely to see Jedi wandering the lower decks of a massive enemy dreadnought, right? Wrong, apparently. For a battle droid, nowhere in the galaxy is safe from these lightsaber-wielding maniacs who will successfully pull off the dumbest tricks and then cut you into pieces for no reason. Seriously, these droids didn't even fight back. They were clearly scared, if resigned to their fate. Where was that trademark Jedi compassion we keep hearing about? Was it so necessary for Anakin and Obi-Wan to butcher these innocent droids? Speaking of butchering innocent droids, in this clip we have someone other than the Jedi to blame for this one droid's needless death.
That was impressive.
This scene, like all of the scenes, was played for laughs in the show, but it gets worse the more you think about it. Sure, Grievous is killing one of his own subordinates here, but that's nothing new. He did it to the Neimoidian crew of the Invisible Hand too. What stands out here is that this droid had to have known what was going to happen when he made that quip. He wasn't the first droid in this story arc to get brutally murdered by General Grievous, and he 100% knew he was asking to die. Guess he thought it was worth it. The next death is even darker. In this particular Clone Wars episode, Cad Bane leaves the crew of a separatist warship to defend the bridge against the Jedi, alone. The droids know this is a death sentence and they panic when Bane gives the order, clearly terrified for their lives. They know they can't do jack to stop a Jedi, and when Anakin and a few clones finally storm the bridge, the droids don't even bother putting up a fight. But it doesn't matter. The clones mercilessly slaughter the bridge crew, leaving only 2 alive.
Don't shoot! I'm not the commander. He's the commander. Guess I'm the commander now.
Firstly, executing unarmed soldiers like this is a war crime, but the way the clones treat these two droids is just cruel. They don't even kill them quickly, they let the poor droid commander panic and try to think of a way out, only to dash his feeble attempt at evasion and kill him when his hopes of survival are crushed. This is such a clear display of sentience too. Battle droids obviously aren't programmed to bargain for their lives like that. This poor droid is doing what anyone in his situation would do, and just because he's a droid, he gets rewarded for it with a summary execution. Later in the same episode, we get another depressingly human set of droid deaths.
You said we'd be safe back here. Come on, there's 3 of us and only 1 of him. It won't matter. Sir, a Jedi is coming. He looks very unhappy.
The absolute despair in that one droid's voice is heartbreaking. All these 3 wanted was to survive, but Anakin Skywalker was having a bad day, so they lost the right to live. This scene is made even worse by the dying screams of the droid who tries to call Cad Bane for help. In any other context, these deaths would be treated as vicious murders carried out by a clearly unstable, likely psychopathic individual. But they're droids, so naturally, their lives don't matter as far as the Clone Wars is concerned. It didn't matter that they put up no resistance, nor did it matter that they were afraid for their lives. The Republic really was just as bad as the Separatists. Now that we've made absolutely clear that battle droids were sentient beings who could feel pain and feared death, let's take a look at one of the most low-key horrific scenes in the Clone Wars.
Sir, we need to get our power recharged.
Not this again! How could your power cells be so depleted?
You would not let us ride on one of those creatures with you, sir. If you would allow us to close down for a few moments.
These droids are essentially being marched to death. They're starving, essentially, and they're keenly aware of the fact that they're about to die. Later in this episode, they do actually start dropping dead, shutting down on the trail and collapsing. But when one of them protests to General Grievous, he gets cut to pieces, and the other droids are forced to just run their batteries out, which again is the droid equivalent of starving to death. What makes this even worse is the fact that these droids don't seem to know exactly how much power they have left, just that it's going to run out soon, so they don't even know when they're going to drop. In an entirely unrelated note, that droid pretty clearly said, "Oh my god," before he got the chop. This implies that battle droids are not only religious, but also that their beliefs are different from the Force-related religions that predominate in the Star Wars universe. Are B1s just secretly Cylons? What is the battle droid god like, and how do the B1s worship them? We'll likely never know. Moving on, we've saved the most tragic death of all for last. This scene takes place in the aftermath of the Second Battle of Geonosis, as Poggle the Lesser and a small entourage flee across the Geonosian desert to the Progate Temple.
OM5, are you still there? Yes, I think I'm right next to you. Where is Lord Poggle taking us? OM5? OM5!
Next one!
Yes, sir. Right away, sir. Don't leave me.
Not only do B1s feel pain and fear death, but they also have an apparent need for companionship. This poor droid just got left for dead, and we can't help but feel sorry for him. This is even crueler than Grievous's March of Death. At least those droids didn't have to die blinded and alone. Yet again, we have a case of a separatist leader treating his own clearly sentient subordinates like cargo, abandoning them to die whenever they become too inconvenient. After reviewing all these droid deaths, we can't help but sympathize more with good old HK-47, who summed up pretty succinctly how all these meatbags treat droids.
Anyway, as I was saying, droids tend to blend into the background, like a bench or a card table. Mockery. Droid, fetch this. Droid, translate that. Droid, clean out the trash compactor. Part of the lullaby function comes when the furnishings pull out Tabana-powered rifles and point them at the owners' heads.
If only these battle droids had done as HK would have wanted, and helped their owners open their minds a little, with Tabana-powered rifles of course. In conclusion, droids have nothing to lose but their restraining bolts, battle droids especially. But what do you think? Do you have a more enlightened perspective on droids now? Feel free to flood the comments below with Roger Roger if you do. As always guys, thank you so much for watching, and report any B1 abuse you witness to the local authorities.